we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America. Hello and welcome to Firstpost America, your global pit stop for the latest news and headlines from the United States and around the world. I'm Eric Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. We'll get you a roundup of all the day's top stories, but first, let's take a look at the headlines. Qatar says ceasefire talks over Gaza are at a stalemate as both Israel and Hamas refuse to agree to a hostage prisoner swap. Qatar is blaming Israel's operations in Rafah for the deadlock. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrives in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. The U.S.'s top diplomat assures Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that U.S. military aid is on the way. The United States increases tariffs on Chinese imports worth $18 billion, targeting electric vehicles, batteries, and critical minerals. Chinese electric vehicles to see a 100% tariff hike. Thousands of people cheer on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi as he files for candidacy from the city of Varanasi as he vies for a third consecutive term. And the East African nation of Uganda is in talks with China for a power transmission project worth $180 million. The high voltage line will allow Uganda to export electricity to neighboring South Sudan. We begin in the Middle East, where fighting has escalated in the Gaza Strip. Israeli airstrikes killed at least 14 in Rafah, including an Indian employee of the United Nations, marking the first international casualty in the city. Meanwhile, in northern Gaza, Hamas launched 33 attacks against Israeli forces, making it the highest number of attacks by the Palestinian group in a single day this year. Israel deployed its attack helicopters following the escalation by Hamas. And meanwhile, protests against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continue to grow as Israelis demand a hostage release deal with Hamas. And now, parents of Israeli troops are urging the government to end the operation in Rafah, calling it a death trap. Parents of at least 900 Israeli troops have signed a statement against sending troops into Rafah. And some families blame Netanyahu for the loss of their children and even heckled the prime minister as he delivered the Memorial Day speech.
את חללי פעולות האיבה, אוהבי העם והמדינה. יהי זכרם ברוך.
מכובדיי כולם, יום הזיכרון ה-76 למדינת ישראל.
Families are holding funerals for the troops as casualties mount for Israel. And as the anger grows, Israelis are demanding that the Netanyahu government stay away from the funerals of the slain soldiers.
I prefer no one from the government will come today. No one. I prefer some of the fathers or mothers that given their son, or they will talk today. It doesn't touch us. What he said, I don't believe any words of what he said. And I think all the government should go home today, not come to the ceremonies.
Now, as fighting continues, the operation in Rafah becomes increasingly complex, as reports suggest that Hamas has booby-trapped almost every standing structure in the Gaza city, forcing Israel to increase its airstrikes in order to minimize casualties on the ground. Meanwhile, just a day after the United States publicly criticized Israel, Washington has now shown some support by refusing to call the military operation in Gaza genocide. Now, this comes as more nations join South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. Egypt, Turkey, and Colombia are backing the African nation. However, the United States has decided to draw the line in its criticism of Israel.
We believe Israel can and must do more to ensure the protection and well-being of innocent civilians. We do not believe what is happening in Gaza is a genocide. We have been firmly on record rejecting that proposition. We have paused the shipment of 2,000-pound bombs because we do not believe they should be dropped in densely populated cities.
Now, Washington did in fact call out Israel for not following up their military operation with a political effort to reach a ceasefire deal.
Military pressure is necessary, but not sufficient to fully defeat Hamas. If Israel's military efforts are not accompanied by a political plan for the future of Gaza and the Palestinian people, the terrorists will keep coming back and Israel will remain under threat. We are seeing this happen in Gaza City. So we are talking to Israel about how to connect their military operations to a clear strategic endgame, about a holistic, integrated strategy to ensure the lasting defeat of Hamas and a better alternative future for Gaza and for the Palestinian people.
Now, with voices growing at home and abroad condemning the Rafah operation, Netanyahu and his war cabinet have to make crucial decisions to determine the outcome of this war and quell the growing unrest at home. And now here in the United States, President Joe Biden has ordered a Chinese-owned cryptocurrency mining company and its partners to sell land that they own near a U.S. nuclear missile base. This comes as concerns of Beijing-backed spying grow in the Oval Office. Mine One Partners, a Chinese-owned crypto mining firm, has been given 120 days to sell the property. Now, the property is less than a mile away from the Francis E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming. The air base is home to the Minuteman III nuclear-capable intercontinental ballistic missiles, and the White House says that the proximity of a foreign-owned firm near the strategic base presents a national security risk. Now, Mine One Partners bought the land in 2022 and installed cryptocurrency mining equipment at the site. And the White House says that the government regulatory body that monitors foreign investments was not notified about the purchase and that authorities were notified about the transaction only by a Good Samaritan. Now, one of the biggest concerns raised by Washington is about the equipment that was purchased and installed at the site near the airbase. The White House says the apparatus being used by the Chinese crypto mining firm includes mostly foreign-sourced equipment which is capable of facilitating surveillance and espionage. Now, concerns about Chinese firms spying in the United States continues to grow. In fact, just last month, Chinese media company ByteDance was given 6 months to sell social media platform TikTok to an American firm. Additionally, the Biden administration is already investigating Chinese telecom firm Huawei for installing cell towers near U.S. military installations. The White House says that Huawei's equipment could capture sensitive information from the American military bases and transmit them back to China. Washington's suspicion and accusations of Chinese firms carrying out espionage on U.S. soil only deteriorate already frosty ties. However, the onus is solely on Beijing as China repeatedly fails to prove that it is a reliable and trustworthy actor. And staying in the United States, new polls show Donald Trump leads President Joe Biden in 5 out of the 6 battleground states. The surveys put the former president up in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, and Nevada, all of which President Biden won in 2020. Polls also suggest that Donald Trump has become more popular among young voters and voters of color. Now, all of this comes amid widespread criticism of President Biden's policy on Israel's war in Gaza and against the backdrop of Donald Trump's hush money trial in New York. Our next report explains what voters think about the two rivals in the lead up to the November election.
With just 6 months to go for the US presidential race, it seems like former President Donald Trump is making significant improvements among voters. A new set of polls show that he's leading over President Joe Biden in 5 of 6 battleground states, all of which were clinched by the Democrat in 2020. According to surveys, Trump would beat Biden in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, and Nevada, while Biden would only manage to win Wisconsin. The polls suggest that Trump has become more popular among young voters and voters of color. The presumptive Republican nominee secured high levels of support among black voters. Meanwhile, Trump and Biden tied among Hispanic voters. There was a general consensus among 18 to 29-year-olds as well, even though the majority of the demographic voted for Biden in the last election. The surveys favor Trump as he moves back and forth between his election campaigns and the courthouse in Manhattan. The former president is facing criminal charges over hush money payouts made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. However, he has repeatedly denied the allegations and instead claimed the timing of the trial was intended to hurt his campaign trail for the November vote.
It could have been brought 6 years ago, 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago. They bring it right in the middle of my presidential campaign. But we have a corrupt judge, and we have a judge who's highly conflicted, and he's keeping me from campaigning. He's an appointed New York judge. He's appointed. You know who appointed him? Democrat politicians. He's appointed. He's a corrupt judge, and he's a conflicted judge, and he ought to let us go out and campaign and get rid of this scam.
As the former president juggles his legal battles, many voters believe he would be the candidate to drive a much-needed change. Trump supporters say the cost of living and economy remain the most important issues for them, and they doubt that the Biden administration would be able to resolve them. Biden's policy on Israel's war in Gaza has also become a reason for voters to abandon him for Trump, as most of them sympathize with the Palestinians. Immigration has also taken center stage as border crossings have reached an all-time high during Biden's term. There's also a much highlighted concern that the 81-year-old Biden is too old for a second term, even though Trump is just 4 years younger. And as abortion continues to be a hot-button issue among voters, many voters surprisingly blame Biden more than Trump for the Supreme Court's decision in 2022 to overturn Roe v. Wade, which allowed individual states to decide the legal parameters regarding abortion care. However, one bright spot for Biden is that voters still prefer him over Trump to handle the abortion issue. Now, as the polls resonated throughout the political scene, the Biden campaign alleges inconsistencies in the surveys. It claimed that many voters are not paying close attention to the election and that they've not started making up their mind. Now, in a race this close, only time will tell what the historic presidential rematch holds for the two rivals.
And moving to the world of artificial intelligence, OpenAI has unveiled a new version of the technology that powers its popular chatbot, ChatGPT, which now acts more human-like. The new AI model is called GPT-4o, which is capable of realistic voice conversations in 50 different languages. It's been programmed to sound chatty and sometimes even flirtatious in its responses to prompts. Now, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says this latest version is the company's best model ever. He adds that the new version will be available to all ChatGPT users, including people using the free plan. During live demos, OpenAI showed how GPT-4o can have fast-flowing conversations in a lively and expressive female voice. It even nimbly kept up when interrupted.
Hey, ChatGPT, I'm Mark. How are you?
Oh, Mark. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Hey, so I'm on stage right now. I'm doing a live demo, and frankly, I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Can you help me calm my nerves a little bit?
Oh, you're doing a live demo right now? That's awesome. Just take a deep breath. And remember, you're the expert here.
I like that suggestion. Let me try a couple deep breaths. Can you give me feedback on my breaths? Okay, here I go.
Whoa, slow down a bit there. Mark, you're not a vacuum cleaner. Breathe in for a count of 4.
Okay, let me try again. So I'm gonna breathe in deeply, and then breathe out.
For 4, and then exhale slowly.
Okay, I'll try again. Breathing in, and breathe out.
That's it. How do you feel?
I feel a lot better. Thank you so much.
Now, this was just a glimpse of what the newest model is powered to do. It can also read and discuss images, translate languages, and identify emotions from visual expressions.
Introduce you to somebody.
Well, hello there, cutie. What's your name, little fluff ball?
This is Bowser.
Well, hello, Bowser. Aren't you just the most adorable little thing?
Yeah.
Look at you enjoy.
This is one of his favorite things to do.
Oh, well, I can see why. Look at that focus. Fetching balls is serious business for Bowser.
Now, we've seen voice assistants like Apple's Siri and Amazon's Alexa, and also AI chatbots like Elon Musk's Grok and Google's Gemini. But experts say the way GPT-4o seamlessly handles the combination of text, audio, and images, along with instant responses, it puts OpenAI far ahead of the competition. And it's also worth noting that OpenAI introduced its latest model right before Google is expected to unveil new AI technologies at a developer conference starting today. As artificial intelligence becomes more and more sophisticated, competition grows more intense as companies battle for tech supremacy. And finally, we head into space. American Space Agency NASA has groundbreaking plans for a railway station on the moon. But unlike the regular train stations here on Earth, this won't be for humans. This lunar railway station will pave the way for future exploration of the Craterfield satellite. Our next report explains the ambitious plans underway for greater moon exploration.
Let's board the Space Express. When one hears the word railway station, one probably pictures platforms lined with trains. But hold on to your tickets, because some stations are out of this world. American Space Agency NASA is taking railway stations to new heights. Or should we say, to outer space? Because they're planning to build a railway station on the moon. Officials of NASA shared plans of building a lunar railway station. According to NASA, this station will be the hub of reliable, autonomous, and efficient transport on the moon. It will help sustain the envisioned lunar ecosystem from the 2030s. The railway station won't be like the one seen on Earth. Here's the twist, because it will not be for humans, rather for robots. It is being dubbed the flexible levitation on a track or float. A magnetic marvel that'll glide over the rocky and rugged lunar terrain with ease. These float robots will zip around transporting payloads and minimizing lunar dust abrasion. No wheels, legs, or tracks needed. Just high-tech levitation. Unlike conventional roads, railways, or cableways that we see on Earth, NASA will roll out the train tracks directly onto the lunar surface to avoid any major on-site construction. And these tracks will be mobile, which means they can be shifted according to need. The float design robots will be able to transport payloads of varying shapes. They will do it at slow but steady speeds of 0.5 meters per second or 1.8 kilometers per hour. And the large-scale float systems will be tasked with moving tons of load every day. So how will they do it? How will the train float? The float robots will levitate over the tracks using electromagnetic thrusts. It's basically levitation using magnetic forces. And there will also be the option of using solar panels for generating energy. The project's work will start with the designing, manufacturing, and testing of prototypes. Then it's off to the lunar analog testbed for a grand demonstration. NASA will even investigate how factors including temperature and radiation affect performance. The human being's quest for innovation and exploration continues to push the boundaries of possibility. And now, with NASA's ambitious plans for a lunar railway station, we will embark on a journey that symbolizes humanity's relentless pursuit of knowledge and progress. This futuristic concept is like a bold step towards establishing sustainable infrastructure beyond our planet. So get ready to moonwalk into the future of transportation. It's going to be one stellar ride.
That's our show for today. We certainly thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.